started.
Ready when you are.
Good evening, everyone. This is Abu Toppin. I am the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director for the City of Beverly. I am here with Anna Sidzik, and we are with Harborlight Community Partners, and we are here to share with you some information about a great new housing opportunity here in Beverly at Anchor Point. It's a brand new housing that's being built up there. And we're here to share some great details and exciting information about the new development and some points of interest that are going to be really beneficial for those who are looking for housing and new spaces that are available coming up in the city. And Anna is going to be kind enough to run us through all those details. And once we have an opportunity to go through all of that, we will open it up for any questions for those of you who are joining us on the call tonight to ask any questions. And if there's anything you want to drop something in the chat, I'll keep a note of that and we can get to those questions as well. But for right now, I'll turn it over to Anna to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abu. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of Harborlight Community Partners, and we're incredibly grateful to the City of Beverly for hosting these informational sessions. We're really excited about this new development, and what you see here on this first slide is our rendering of what it will look like pretty gosh darn soon. We're looking for building occupancy coming in July. So if you can imagine it up on the top of Sawyer and Tozer Roads, this will be what the building looks like. So we're really excited to be here and share some more information. As Abu said, I am the Senior Project Manager from Harborlight Community Partners. We are managing the lottery process and are going to share some information for you about what the property will entail and how to apply. For those of you who don't know, there's a little bit here about Harborlight Community Partners. Beverly is hometown to us, so it's really exciting to be working on this project at this moment. We are a nonprofit community development corporation and that we build and manage affordable housing for seniors, family, disabled, and homeless populations throughout Essex County. We advocate for just and equitable communities because everyone deserves a home. So these are examples of some of our currently built properties. Some of them may be familiar, some of them might be new to you. We actually have properties all over the North Shore. As I said before, some senior housing, supportive senior housing, family and individual housing, which in some cases includes wraparound support services. And then we have a lot of new things coming on the market. So we have Anchor Point 1 and 2 in Beverly. We have Asbury Street in Hamilton, the Briscoe Center for the Arts. Again, shout out to Beverly, Briscoe Middle School being reborn as an awesome new community center. Grant Street Crossing in Rockport, and Maple Woods, which is senior housing in Wenham. Altogether, we have a footprint in most of your community in the North Shore, and we're always looking to grow. But at the moment, we have almost 500 units on our pipeline, which is a really great responsive need to our communities. We build housing at a variety of income levels for people who are struggling to get ahead, to workforce housing for people who make really sizably decent incomes, who are essential workers who have been crucial to the pandemic and the COVID response. So we've got a lot going on. And our biggest, newest thing that we're doing is Anchor Point 1. So this is another rendering you can see looking at it from the parking lot side. Anchor Point will have 38 affordable apartments. These will be 2 and 3 bedroom units. So they are meant for families. They are not meant for individuals. So if you are either a single person or if you're just a couple that would normally share a bedroom, this opportunity is not meant for people who only need 1 bedroom. There'll be 2 and 3 bedroom units. We do have apartments that will have ADA accessibility and sensory impairment needs. If someone has a hearing issue or a vision loss, we do have an apartment available there. I said 2 to 6 person households. And we have 2 different income limits. We'll come back to this later, and I'll try to avoid technical housing speak because I know that's like a foreign language to people. So we have income limits at the 30% and 60% AMI level. AMI stands for Area Median Income, and it's a metric set forth annually by HUD. So we'll see what those numbers actually mean. But the key takeaway, so we have 2 different income groups. If you have a housing voucher, a mobile voucher through Section 8 or MRVP or some other program, we will happily accept it. This is the part that's really exciting for people who live, work, or have children attending schools in Beverly, Salem, or Peabody. There's a local preference for up to 70% of the units of this building will be for people who live, work, or have kids in the schools in those three communities. And that was a byproduct of an MOA signed between the mayors of those three communities. So really trying to look at giving people who live right here in our community opportunity to change their housing. There are some units that are set aside for currently homeless families. And in those cases, the rent will be paid by permanent project-based subsidies. So if you are coming out of a shelter situation or leaving a domestic violence situation or just struggling to find housing, or maybe, and I'll actually give this as an example, we have a lot of applicants who are homeless, but meaning they're staying with a family member or they're staying with their parents, or maybe they have a pretty decently paying job, but just haven't been able to find an apartment. So homeless doesn't necessarily mean coming out of the shelter system. It can also mean people who just don't have their own home in their own name. So that's an important distinction for people to think about. The building itself is going to be incredible. So as Abu mentioned, it's brand new construction, which is somewhat rare and somewhat exciting. The rent that you'll see later includes on-site parking, but the really big flashing lights that I want people to pay attention to is it includes utilities, which for those of us who have heating and water bills know what that means. So included in the rent is heat, AC, electricity, and hot water. So when you see the numbers, you'll understand how important that is. In terms of the features, new construction, there will be card operated laundry on every floor of the building. There will not be units in your own apartment. It will be on the same floor, but not in your own unit. However, you do have individually controlled heat and AC. And I think anyone who has ever lived someplace where the first floor controls the heat and you live on the third floor understands how important that is. So it's a great feature there to have individual control for climate. There will be a playground. And again, here's a rendering sort of example of what that will look like. So if you've got little kids and you want to send them out to play, you don't have to send them anywhere off site. Some of the apartments will have private patios and entrances. Some of them are ADA type 2 accessible and sensory impaired. Most of them have great views. If you've driven past the building, it's up at the top of the hill right by the high school. It's wrapped in green Tyvek paper right now. So it's this beautiful green building glowing at the top of the hill. And you can imagine the view of downtown from that location. We're also going to have a community room where if you want to have a kid's birthday party, or maybe you want to host a meeting or just get together with your neighbors, there will be a community room for birthday parties, which will be great. The layout of the buildings and the apartments themselves will have tile bathrooms, big, beautiful windows, wood-looking plank floors, all new kitchen appliances. I would be very jealous to have all new kitchen appliances. And I have some interior pictures in a moment. And in terms of location, it's within walking distance to Beverly High School. It's right next to the Whole Foods. It's close to the hospital, very close to downtown, restaurants, the MBTA, and Route 128. So it really couldn't be a better location. Here we have a couple sample floor plans. So as I said, there are 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments and 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. So you could get a sense of the layouts here. They're also a really good size. So if you'll notice, almost 1,000 square feet for the 2 bedrooms and over 1,100 square feet is the average size for the 3 bedrooms. So plenty of space, big closets, open floor plan. And here you get a sense of what that might really look like. So this would be a view from the living room looking towards the kitchen. This is a view from the kitchen back towards the living room. This is sort of the other direction with sort of an island there with seating. And then lastly, this would be where the balcony would come off of the living room. So you can get a sense of what the insides would look like in terms of amenities. Okay. I'm going to go slowly here because this is where most of the questions come in. So as I said, we have 2 different size apartments and we have 2 different levels of income classification. So we have 15 units that will be 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and those are set aside for people making between $50,366 and $80,520. So at the minimum end, in order to afford the rent of that apartment, your income needs to be at least $50,366. However, if you're a family of 4, the maximum cannot be higher than $80,520. If you're a 3-person household, it's a little bit less. If you're a 2-person household, it's a little bit less. So there's a whole scale of range in there. And there's a very similar idea. If you go down to the third line, you have the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 13 units of that size. And a similar idea, the minimum income you would need to make is $58,149 for a 3-person household, but the maximum on the other side is $93,420, and that's for a 6-person household. So those are the rental ranges for those 60% units, but you'll notice that we have 10 units, 5 at each size, that are set aside for people at the 30% AMI limit, and those income levels are a little bit lower. So when we say 30% of gross income, it's 30% of whatever it is that you make. So let's say you make $10,000, you would pay 30% of your gross income. Let's say you make $30,000, you would pay 30% of the gross income. So these are the units that are subsidized by permanent project-based vouchers. So if you're at the slightly lower income level, this is where your income is always going to be set to that 30% of the gross limit. Again, these are HUD limits coming to us for the Boston, Quincy, Cambridge metropolitan service area. We accept all vouchers. And again, that rent includes utilities. So if we just pause for a moment and think about what you're paying for rent on a 2-bedroom, 1-bath plus utilities, I think we can agree that $1,812 rent is a phenomenally good deal. So this is really targeted for workforce housing, essential workers, our teachers, firefighters, service workers, legal secretaries, paralegals, instructors, all kinds of people will fall into that income range. So it's a great opportunity for people who are looking to sort of improve their housing and stay in Beverly or maybe come to Beverly. Lastly, we have some key deadlines. So March 1st is the final application deadline. And when I say final, means every part of your application has to be in our office. If you've sent an application but don't submit your bank information, it's not complete. If you sent an application but don't have your pay stubs, it's not complete. So we have to have a hard stop on March 1st, which means application in and supporting documents. And I will tell you that very few people get it right straight out of the gate. Most of the time, there's a little bit of follow-up. So if you're thinking like, oh, this is great, I'll apply on February 28th and I'll be done. If you do that, but you're missing a crucial document that we don't get back from you, your application will be incomplete and you will not be eligible for the lottery. The lottery itself is going to be on March 15th. We'll have a Zoom, much like this Zoom, that you can attend, or if you'd like to be in person at the Beverly Public Library, that's also an option for you. So the lottery here, this is sort of, I'll go through the mechanics in a minute, but the one thing I want to emphasize is that if you apply, it literally is a lottery and it's not a guarantee. So when we say eligible for the lottery, it means you're eligible to participate, not that you're definitely going to get a unit. And I think that's really important. We want to stress that what you're applying to is the opportunity to be in the lottery. At the lottery, we'll draw everyone's numbers out in a specific order, and that will be on the next slide. And then starting the day after, I can guarantee you we'll be very busy on March 16th. We'll start the lease-up period. So we'll look through and see whose numbers were drawn, in what order, what apartment size did they need, what income level are they at. It's a whole Rubik's Cube of putting everyone together. And we'll start the lease-up process. And the lease-up process is more paperwork, certifications. There'll be a criminal background check. There'll be a credit check. There'll be all kinds of certifications that people have to submit for the actual leasing up, with the idea that by July 1st, we will actually have this building ready for people to start moving in. So it's moving pretty quickly. The lottery itself, it is literally a lottery. So you're going to imagine probably Andrew DeFranza, our executive director, will have a big bowl full of numbers, and we will literally draw everyone's number out in order, and we'll pay attention to that order. So as I mentioned, this lottery has a local pool and an open pool. The local pool is for people who live, work, or have children in the schools in Salem, Beverly, and Peabody. Then there's an open pool, which includes all of those same people, as well as anyone who does not live in one of those 3 cities or does not have a relationship with their job or the schools in those 3 cities. So if we use Abu for an example, and you were applying for the lottery, you would have applied. I would have given you a unique number. Abu, what's your lucky number? What would be the number you'd want in this lottery?
9.
9. Okay. So in Abu's dream lottery, he is number 9. So we would put the number 9 into the bowl that's for the local pool. We would also put number 9 into the open pool. So he would have 2 chances to be drawn because of that local preference. So we get there, we sign the numbers. We start by doing all of the lottery numbers and we pull them out. So if Abu is watching this or he's in attendance at the library, as soon as number 9 comes out of the bowl, you'll know, okay, I was the 10th person drawn. I was the 50th person drawn. I was the 237th person drawn. You'll know where you are relative to everybody else because you will know your unique number that's assigned to you. We do exactly the same thing for the open pool, and we write down everyone's numbers in very careful order. And that's the end of the lottery. That's all that will happen on March 15th. So this is important to stress. If your numbers, everyone's number will be drawn. No one's number will not be drawn. It's all about the order that your number gets pulled. Then after that, we will go back to our offices and look at whose number was drawn in what order, and we start to actually look to award those units. So for federal fair housing law, the first units that we award are anyone who has an ADA accessibility need or a sensory unit. Those units are very difficult to find. And for people who have mobility issues who need an ADA unit, those are the first people we look at. That we have 7 units that fall into that category. Then after that, we look at the local preference. So again, local preference is up to 70% of the entire building can be awarded from that local pool. That's a maximum of 26 units. And then after that, we'll get to the open 38 applicants who will be given a chance to lease. Then we'll stop and we'll have a wait list and the pool. And after that, we start calling people up and say, Abu, number 9 was pulled, wherever it was, and we think we could give you an apartment. Do you want to continue? And then you'll have an opportunity to go through the next round of intense paperwork and certifications and criminal background check and all of that stuff. So that's the rough process. There are lots of ways you can get an application. If you go to our website, you can download a PDF. We have it available in 5 different languages. So language is not a barrier for us. And if you need to call us and ask a question, we have an instant contracted language service. So I can get an interpreter on the line with us within 30 seconds. So that is not a problem. You could email us for an application. We'll send one to you. And if you want to pick one up in person, you can go to our office. They're hanging right outside our door right now. You could go to City Hall, or you could go to the library. And if you have questions, you should contact me. I am Anna. I'm here to answer all of your questions. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop my share. And if anyone has questions, I would be thrilled to answer them.
We have a couple of people. I don't know if you all have questions. Please feel free to ask away. Hi.
Hi. My name is Kelly Garcia. I actually applied and I'm currently in the lottery. I spoke with you, Anna, via email as well.
Okay,
and
great.
While doing my application, part of it, you just spoke briefly about the homeless part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that you had more of a lax definition of homeless versus like other places, for example. So I think at that point I need to fix my application because I am homeless.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead? I'm going to make a note of that, and I will make that note of your file.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any other questions? I'm going to have to emphasize again, this development is a fantastic opportunity for, especially when you talk about, as Anna, you pointed out, the workforce out here in Beverly. It's, I think there are a lot of people that, might fall in that 50 to 80K range, and to have the ability to get parking, utilities included, which is like unheard of. Is a phenomenal opportunity. And I think, to save, and be under $2,000 for your family is just, there's so much that can then, be used elsewhere. for your family, for that benefit that you might save on being able to be in one of these apartments. So I can't emphasize enough what a great opportunity this will be for some folks.
Absolutely. And I think it's exciting for us as Harborlight, because it's really changing the way that people think about housing, especially, the word affordable housing, because we're seeing economically, as the market is so tight and rents are going up so high, and wages have not kept pace, the number of people who qualify is just so much bigger than it used to be. And I think we really have to redefine, who are we building the housing for, and what is the purpose of this kind of housing in our community. And Harborlight is just so proud to be helping with job creation and helping employers find housing for their workers. Because Beverly is on the train line, it's a great access point. If you are, commuting into the city, you're going north, you're going south, or you jump on 128 and you go out to Woburn or wherever it is that you're going. So I think this is a great chance to really reimagine, what does housing mean to a community? And Harborlight is really excited to be partnering with the cities of Beverly, Salem, and Peabody to offer this, but also the entire regional community, because housing is such a scarce need. And Abu, is, you're saying, if your housing is secure and you don't have to worry about all that, and you have your rent is included, it allows you to worry about other parts of your life, your kids, your schools, your job, your healthcare. So we really see housing as sort of the foundation of everything else that needs to be taken care of. And coming out of the pandemic, we know the need is just crushing. And the applications are coming in, and this is really a great chance to get people into this opportunity. And there's one sort of technical thing I didn't cover, but I'll mention to folks that are listening. So the lottery application deadline is March 1st. And let's say that you apply on March 5th and your application is perfect, right? Everything was done right. You're ready to go. You're ready to move. Boom. If you apply after that lottery deadline, you will automatically go to the very bottom of the list, which sounds really harsh. I acknowledge that. But that's just the reality, is we have to have a deadline. So if you're at all thinking, I don't know if I apply, maybe I should, I don't know, what are my chances? Just like, you never score the goals if you never take the shot, right? Like, you'll never get in the lottery unless you apply. So I would encourage everyone to apply, and we'll take a really close look at it. And if you have questions or we need other paperwork, we'll ask you for it. So I would hate for anyone to think, I don't have time, or it's going to be too hard, or I'm not sure. And also I would really encourage people, don't do the math too much yourself. As a federal low-income housing tax credit property, it's incredible what income gets counted and what income does not. So a lot of people sometimes either underestimate their income, it's actually a little higher for purposes of eligibility. And sometimes people do include things that we actually don't count. We don't count SNAP benefits, for example. We don't count food stamps. If you are a full-time student and you can document student status, this actually came up just this week. We had a family that had 2 kids in college. They both had pretty decent jobs, part-time. And because of their full-time student status, their income is only counted at $480 per household. So they thought they were over income, but they weren't at all. They were just right because of the student status and how it relates to income. So housing is a whole foreign language. I think I only speak it half of the time correctly. So thankfully, there's other people on our team that help us out. And just put your information there, send us the documentation. We will analyze it and let you know. So if you think you're at all close, this is the time to get into the program.
Great points. Just, it's better to put it in and get it in and see what happens, as opposed to, kind of second guessing it and then miss out on a great opportunity. So I think those are great points, Anna. I do have one other question that came into me. The question is, I'm active in social justice work in the city of Beverly. Is this a preferred qualification that could work in my benefit? I currently live in Ipswich.
If someone works in Beverly, like JOB at Beverly, that would qualify for the local preference, or if someone has their children in school in Beverly. If you live in a different city and if you do not work in terms of actual paid employment, then I do not think that counts for the paid local preference. But if your actual paid job of any kind, even if it's a small amount, is in Beverly, then we would attach the local preference to that. So I do not believe that volunteerism counts, but paid employment absolutely would, as would kids in the schools.
Great question. Thank you.
I have
Anything
a
else?
question.
Oh, please.
Hi, it's Kelly again.
Okay.
Kelly.
And Kelly, I'm just going to give you this heads up. This is on live television and being recorded. So
No worries.
Okay.
I noticed that in the plan, there's also a secondary building coming in. When, because anchor 1 and 2.
Mhm.
When is the secondary one supposed to be starting?
That's a good question. So what Kelly is alluding to is the entire property. Anchor point 1 is 38 apartments. Anchor point 2 will be 39 apartments. And then we're also actively in the development phase, AKA fundraising, for what we're calling the Lighthouse Center. The Lighthouse Center, if fully realized, will have a visiting nurse. It will have a daycare center. It will have job training spaces with computer labs. It will be an incredible community resource. But I can't tell you when those things will happen. The Lighthouse Center is sort of subject to funding and availability, and that will really make this a dreamy scenario. Anchor point 2, we're just starting the permitting process and the fundraising part of that as well with the state. So unfortunately, housing moves at a glacial pace. So I can't really give you a firm estimate other than to say it will be years before we break ground and have that done. So it is coming, we have every expectation that it will, but I couldn't give you a firm timeline because the permitting process, the state process, all those approvals are lengthy and time consuming and somewhat out of our control. So hopefully before I'm 70, but I can't tell you it's going to be, it's not going to be next year. It's going to be longer than that.
Always a process in things, right?
Always a process. Any other questions from folks? Let me see.
One other question. Do you see 4-bedroom unit development coming in the future via Harborlight? Any 4-bedroom developments?
That's a good question. I'm not on the property development site, so I probably am not the right person to ask that question. We do have some existing 4-bedroom homes through a couple different our properties. So we actually have some. I'd say if someone's listening and they need a 4-bedroom unit, that they should reach out. If you look at our website, go under the housing opportunities link and you'll see sort of a listing of different things. So we do have some 4-bedrooms in existence. Family housing is always a huge need. So I'm definitely not going to say no, but I don't know in terms of specifics of what the next set of buildings are. I do know that some of the next projects are some senior housing in Wenham. If I go back to that slide, I can show you, senior housing in Wenham. There is some family housing coming online in Hamilton. I don't know if there's 4 bedrooms specifically, because again, I'm not attached to this part of the plan. So what we are finding, I will say, is that there's really a need all across the spectrum of services. And one of the gaps that we're finding a lot right now, and I don't know if it's in the pandemic or not, but individuals who are not seniors or who have children seems to be a pretty solid gap that we're identifying, where there's a lot of people who are desperate for housing but don't meet the senior category and yet don't meet the family category either. So that's a real gap area. But our mission is to build housing for all different kinds of people: seniors, families, individuals who have supportive needs. So I would look at our website for the existing opportunities, and I can defer back to the project development team. So if they watch this later, they should pay attention. Somebody wants 4 bedrooms, so for the future.
Right. Cue that up. Great. Any other thoughts before we wrap for the evening?
Just that it's really exciting to be sort of on this new frontier of housing in our region, and it's an exciting place to be, because I do think that Harborlight is really pushing the boundary of what kind of housing is created, and it's really exciting to be serving so many people locally with these essential needs. It's also exciting too to feel a little bit of buzz building of people wanting to come into our community and wanting to be here for the schools, for the jobs. I've talked to a few people who've said, "Oh, I just got a new job. I'm going to be working in Danvers. I looked at this place." I can really see a regional effect happening. And I think for us, it's really exciting to be a part of that, to bring some stability, some economy to the region. But also it feels great to, when I've been sending out the eligibility letters for the lottery and being able to tell people, you're qualified for the lottery. You got a shot at this apartment. The joy on the other side of the phone is that is what makes my day, to be honest, to know that we're giving people an opportunity to really improve their lives. So my advice is please apply. And if this isn't the right opportunity for you, we also do forward those applications to other developments. So for example, we have an application come in from an individual, even though Anchor Point might not be the right option, we do have other opportunities. So, you know, if it's not the right fit for you, we'll try to find you a pair of shoes that fit. You know what I mean? We're trying to find something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we have more and more folks coming to Beverly to live here and work and have kids that are going to be in our school systems. And this is a fantastic opportunity to not fall into the trap of thinking that Beverly might not be a place that, you know, somebody can come and move and live into, because sometimes people have perceptions. It might live outside of our community and not realize that we have great opportunities here for housing that would be, and this is one of those. Again, can't emphasize enough that income range, that where you get a lot of folks that you know live and breathe in that area, that this would be so beneficial for. And you know, again, please don't hesitate or second guess it. Just get your applications in and see what might be beneficial for you on the other side.
Exactly. Thanks again, Abu, for setting this up, and to the City of Beverly and to BevCam and to everyone watching. We're very grateful for the chance to share this information. And again, if people have questions, just reach out to me. I'm happy to take them and happy to help people out.
It's fantastic. Great working, collaborating with Harborlight, and we look forward to the next opportunity.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. March 1st deadline. Don't be late.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good evening.
Good evening.